everyone, let's get to it. I'm so excited about reviewing this book. I finally finished reading it. I had read one of the stories in here called Kenneth is Drowning, and I reviewed it. Now I'm finished reading the book, and I have a whole lot more to say about the book. I'm going to leave a link down to my earlier mention of this, and I'm going to leave a link to Gerard the Bookworm's channel because he was the one who sent this to me, and I really appreciate it because this book was awesome. It was incredible. I already talked about how I feel the cover is beautiful. It's just a really nice book. It's a keeper for me. I'm going to keep it. Everything takes place in California, and that is the connection of the stories. They're all different and they're all very creative. I enjoyed every single story in this anthology. This was wonderful. This was an enjoyable book, and I felt like it had literary aspects. It was wonderful. I mean, every single story was just great. And these authors, I feel like they should be writing novels. They're very, very talented. Okay, California has a great group of short story authors. They're all strong. I hesitate to say that any story was the weakest in the book because they're all strong on their own merits. I'm going to just give you a little bit of information maybe about what some of the short stories are about. Not too much though. I really, really suggest this, especially for horror lovers and short story lovers. Okay, so here we go. Between the Dreams and Screams, that's just a introduction, getting you ready. Well, it's an introduction before the introduction. And it talks about, you know, horror and writing horror. And the introduction is by Jonathan Mayberry, where he introduces this. And then the first story is called The Dark Watchers. Now, The Dark Watchers was awesome. Oh, it was so creepy. Really, it was creepy. I mean, I could just imagine these watchers and what they looked like. Oh my goodness. Basically, in a nutshell, you better not mess up different places in California. You better respect the wildlife and the trees and everything else, and not be a douchebag about protecting our nature. Okay, now, agency cost. Imagine if the devil and the selling of souls was a business, a corporation. The Mount of Death. Oh gosh, this was great. Oh my, I can't. I'm gonna act like an idiot about it. I know, because I just loved it so much. It almost makes me speechless. I never would expect anybody to picture the Mount of Death to look the way it's explained in here. But trust me, it's really bizarre. And when you picture it in your head, you're going to be like, oh crap. Imagine that death's, I don't want to say horse, I don't know what the hell, but imagine that it escapes and you come across it. Okay, now the perfect playground. If I had to say there was a weak one in here, this would be the weakest, but that doesn't mean it's a bad story. It's great. It's just the weakest of all of them. And that's not even doing it justice. Okay, that's about some weird thing that exists in California. Nobody knows about it, and then people disappear and are murdered, and it's just unbelievable what this thing is. Nobody knows. Okay, now, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this right, but Mananangle or Mananangle or something. I can't pronounce it, okay? But this is a creature in, like, folklore for the Filipinos that work on this one farm or field. And they work with a bunch of other people, different cultures. But this one, it seems he's come to life. No, she, why'd I say he? She has come to life and just wreaks havoc all over the workers' camp and everything else. Okay, Feed Your Muse. I didn't know at the end whether the things really happened or the guy just went crazy and this is how he imagined it. So you'll have to see for yourself what you think. But apparently he makes this deal with this company, and he's going to have a muse, but he has to feed it. And the way he has to feed it is very, very maniacal. All right, Bumming Smokes. This was a strange one, but it was good. It's the idea that smoke is a creature, and that's all I'm going to say, because I want you to read it for yourself and be surprised. Okay, Kenneth is Drowning. I already talked about that. I'll link down to that review with the other. And Feast of the Goddesses. And by the way, Kenneth is Drowning was one of the most fantastic stories in this book. Okay, Feast of the Goddesses. There are these creatures that are duping people in California to do heinous things because they want to come and invade. June Gloom. Well, killer smog, killer fog, but it's not what you think. It's not like The Mist or anything Stephen King. It's very different. And it's like this June fog or smog. So that's June Gloom. Hidden Depths. And if you're wondering why I'm not giving you more info, I feel like sometimes too much can make people not want to read it because it's a spoiler and they want to be surprised. Hidden Depths. Awesome story. This one was fantastic. It's about this girl who is pulled by something into these waters, and there's some sort of ghost trying to communicate with her, and it's kind of terrorizing her at first. It's very different. And then you find out that she's inherited something from her mother. And it really, you know, I'll tell you what, it's kind of, at the end, it's kind of like melancholy when you think about it. It is. But it's a good ending for the girl and her mother too, okay? So at least you know this one is kind of a good ending. I'm not going to tell you the others. Okay. Oh, for a Muse of Fire. Okay, what if a muse chooses you and you have to pay a price for that? That's what that story's about. And then In the River, oh my. This, I'm not telling you, but trust me, you are going to be so surprised when you find out what's going on in this river. When you find out who this angel is that they keep referring to in the story, and you know where it's from and the way it's explained, you know, you can't even imagine looking at this thing. But I won't tell you what it is. Be surprised like I was. It was a good story. Okay. And oh, and it incorporates like homelessness in it. Okay. Eyes of the Salton Sea. Okay, I've always been kind of curious about the Salton Sea. The things that I've read about it and seen about it, it's interesting. It's very, very interesting. And this kind of like brings the Salton Sea to life. And, you know, it's strange. It's like, the idea is that the Salton Sea, maybe it claims souls. Maybe it doesn't. You'll have to see. Maybe certain people are ghosts. Maybe they're not. This one, you really, really have to think, and I love that. It's very literary. And maybe I should just tell you the authors, too. You might not know who they are, but okay. Lori Lopez, Jonathan Mayberry, E.S. McGill, Aaron Smith, Kevin David Anderson, Chad Stroop, Billy San Juan, R.W. Goldsmith, Brian Osman, James Jennison, listen to me stutter, K.C. Griffin, or Griffint, Kevin Westmore, Alexandra Newmeyer, Nicholas Furr, Jean Graham, and Sarah Reed. I'm reading them here as I go through. And, you know, the only really well-known one, I think, is Jonathan Mayberry, who did the introduction. But these other authors, I mean, they're up and coming. I mean, they're great. They are going to make it because they're that talented. So, give California Screamin' a chance. And thanks for stopping by.